People who commit suicide via jumping in front if trains are assholes. It causes trauma to the train driver and delays other trains. It's just the most selfish way to die. At least use normal and quick methods of suicide like hanging or shooting yourself. This applies for jumping in front of cars on the motorway. I was shocked when I took the subway in South Korea and found they have clear sliding doors on the platform edge blocking anyone from falling in. I've always thought this was clever, wouldn't be too hard to implement, and would solve this exact problem. This is legit. I used to be suicidal and this is how I was taught to start changing my way of thinking. Think of who would find you, what you'd affect, yada yada. For anyone to look at you crazy blows my mind. BC if it wasn't for that I might be a dead asshole who scarred an entire family on the highway or something. I still use this as a reason to remind others when they're feeling low to think of what effect they leave and who finds them to keep them from acting. I'd like to meet the majority of people that hold the opposite of this opinion. I agree on some conditions. My mom was a part of the SWAT team for this kind of thing and she was the negotiator. Dude was on some bridge above some train tracks and said he was going to jump. He wouldn't budge, saying the voices in his head were telling him to jump. Trains were shut down as well as the bridge for hours. Many bystanders who were being delayed simply told the SWAT team to let him jump. However, if he did jump, the trains would have been stopped for a lot longer. Eventually, after a few hours, my mom had negotiated to get him down safely. He agreed to get down safely if he got a cheeseburger. And so, the guy got a cheeseburger. True story. Okay, let me say this. I absolutely hate everything about suicide on rails. The impact it has on the train driver, the tragic death, and the people bitching about their train getting delayed, rightfully so, as much as I hate to admit it. None of this should happen yet it does. How can we face this issue? Obviously many suicides of this method are not very well planned. They happen out of desperation and they are extremely effective and praised as painless among rather dark communities on the internet. There's shit tons of reasons why people try suicide in the first place. It's impossible to solve this. It's not impossible to provide essential services such as psychological help and support for suicidal people. The opportunity for severely sick people to have euthanasia so they don't have to make those drastic, gruesome decisions. Stuff like that. When I attempted it was a split-second decision made when I was not mentally well. I can guarantee few people plan on doing it that way. They were probably waiting to commute and it hit, or maybe it started earlier that day. An illogical, negative mindset that feels as if it can only be stopped once you stop. So you see the train coming and you take a step. They are so mentally impaired at this point that any other thoughts are out of their mind. I don't think people who jump in front of trains give a fuck about your opinion of them. DC like 15 years ago there was a jumper on the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. One guy blocked traffic for hours. Not just at the bridge, but the entire DC area. Emergency vehicles and everything around DC were shut down. Eventually the police shot him with a beanbag gun and he fell 50 feet into the water. His stupid stunt probably cost several lives of people who didn't have access to emergency care. https://www. Washington Post. com/wpsrv/local/long-term/Wilson/Wilson110598. HTM. I live in a large metro city. Recently read a newspaper feature on exactly this. It had interviews with train motormen who had experienced running over people. It's very common. There's a whole protocol that the railway follows: time off, therapy, etc., to help them cope with it. The worst part is most of them say they can never truly become desensitized cause they always feel like they could have avoided killing someone, no matter how untrue that is. Jumping behind the train isn't as effective. When I was suicidal I just thought of going somewhere quiet and peaceful like the woods or something and doing it when nobody was around. Not only would nobody have to witness the grisly end, but the absence of people would also increase my odds for success. I had also come up with a backup plan, like taking pills before drowning or shooting myself while standing over a cliff, so that in the event of one method failing the other one could kick in. Pretty logical thinking for someone with a death wish, huh? Just to clarify, I am no longer suicidal nor am I mentally ill. There was just a time in my life that I was sick of the world's bullshit and thought offing myself seemed like a good way to get away from it. Well, yeah. But I think most people who do that, do it in the moment, after thinking about killing themselves many times over and over. It's a fleeting moment of thought thinking this would end it. Right here. It's over and then they jump. I know, 'cause I had to stop myself from doing similar shit. I had enough in me to not step forward, but there's others who don't have that left in them. The thing is, your opinion assumes that they are making a rational decision to be an asshole. I've never been depressed to the point of suicide, thank the Lord, but anyone who's ever experienced even mild mental health issues can at least understand the scale of the warped thoughts a person must be having to become suicidal. Maybe that's why people don't react as you would hope to this opinion. It kinda implies you care more about a mild inconvenience than about the scourge of suicide we have in our countries. My best friend hit someone that jumped in front of them to kill themselves. He was never the same. He ended up taking his own life a year later from the guilt. God, I hate to say I agree with this. Not only is traumatic for the other people, but it can just straight up cause people to miss important events. I used to commute to school, and whenever someone committed suicide via train or train tracks, it used to delay the trains for at least 40 minutes. I feel so terrible for those who committed suicide, and I hope they found peace. But missing a final exam and several important classes because of this made my blood boil.